Hello and welcome everybody to the first Ramblings of Random Minds podcast of 2024.
Woohoo!
I am your host, Alex Starrett, and this is my third time recurring guest, Cailin.
I love podcasting.
Do you have any New Year's resolutions?
Yes.
Okay.
You want to hear them?
If you want. You don't have to say them.
Well, I have a fear of saying it publicly because then I'm held more accountable, but I'll say it.
Hey, you don't have to. It's up to you.
No, it's okay. Save money. But I feel like that's just the thing I should do all the time. That's not really a resolution. I just need to save money this year. And, what was my... Okay, yeah. So I'm doing this, challenge. It's called 75 Day Hard. Pretty much, you have to work out every day for, an hour and a half. And then you're on, a pretty insane diet. And you have to drink X amount of water. That's my New Year's resolution. So I do that for 75 days. Do you have any New Year's resolutions?
No, I don't.
You don't?
No, I don't.
Oh my gosh, you should come up with one.
I don't really have one.
A lot of people never have resolutions.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of people who just don't have, I don't know. I feel like it's rare for people now to be have resolutions. I don't know.
On New Year's Eve, we stayed up till midnight, and
Mm-hmm.
I think Mommy was looking at, a post that said, rather than trying to make something better about yourself, try and, appreciate what you already have.
That's also so fair. Yeah.
If I have resolution, it's that, and just try and learn more about myself.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's that.
That's super fair.
What are we looking forward to in the new year that's not negative like everything else?
Oh, I was going to ask you that.
This is what I get for asking the questions. I don't have to answer them first.
What am I most excited about in 2024? Two things. One, graduating. I'm super stoked. I got 4 months left of school, and I literally can't wait. And then I'm going to Europe, so I'm super, super excited about that.
That's exciting.
I'm very excited, everybody. What about you?
There's not a whole lot that...
There has to be something.
I suppose there's a bunch of Broadway shows coming to Calgary that I'm looking forward to.
There you go.
The Calgary Philharmonic is doing Harry Potter, playing along to the movie.
Oh, cool.
Playing the music to the movie, and Star Wars, which
Star
I hope
Wars.
to both go to.
My mom wants to go to the Star Wars one.
Anything John Williams is great.
Yes. Oh, it's gonna be. It would be so good.
In band, we're doing a holiday, or sorry, not holiday. We're past that.
Mm-hmm.
Hollywood milestones, and it's just basically a melody of famous Hollywood pieces like Raiders of the Lost Ark, Back to the Future.
Oh, cool.
Star Trek, Forrest Gump. What else? There's a bunch of them. But half of them are John Williams. It's kind of funny.
Oh my gosh, that would be so good. I know, I might have to go to that.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
Yeah, that's wicked. That's a great thing to be excited for.
Yeah. Got a bunch of gift cards to shows and stuff for Christmas.
Lucky. Oh my gosh. Exciting.
Shall we... Is there anything else about the new year that we should mention?
Other than I'm worried, nothing.
Worried about what?
Just the way society is evolving.
Okay. Yeah,
but we talk about that every week.
I feel like the way... I feel like it's also the way people view society, us included.
Yes.
That,
yes.
The way media...
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
I feel like the way media and just people view society is very negative. I don't know if it's worse than it was. It might have been. It might be. I know we're going somewhere. I know there's been a lot of social justice stuff pushing it forward, and we're getting better. We're just more aware now, which makes it feel like we're getting a lot worse.
I don't know if we can say we're getting better when apparently Calgary's supposed to be in a drought.
Yeah.
Alberta's very concerned because apparently last summer it was really bad. Yeah. But this summer it's they're projecting it's going to be so much worse because we've had so little snow that they're actually worried that there's going to be problems with access to water and stuff.
And it's so warm too.
It's going to be so hot.
It's snowing. Bad news is water is currently at a very, very, very low.
It's bad.
And there's no ice or snow. There's increasingly less ice and snow to melt.
Oh my gosh.
And there's already like 2 natural disasters across the world and like planes crashing and like seriously.
Doors flying off planes.
Like, what is this? What is this with planes? Like,
did you see? So apparently 2 people's phones or something fell out of the plane. And someone
that's what they're covering.
No. Someone found them on the ground and they still worked.
What?
Yeah, like they weren't broken at all.
Like a Nokia phone or something?
I don't know. But it was a 16,000-foot drop. I was like, what type of phones do these people have?
I suppose once you get to a certain velocity, gravity can't pull you any faster, but still, that's...
I don't know. That was kind of scary.
That's insane.
Yeah. Okay, well, this kind of segues into kind of our topic, I guess.
Yes.
I think. Of what were we talking? Was it ethics or we have like a few different topics?
We have a bunch of topics that we've already talked about, so now we're kind of struggling, like trying to re-get them.
Yeah.
One more thing that I want to mention is that we're kind of a new configuration for the set.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's so lovely.
New table. I know you were mentioning that it feels more professional.
It feels very, very, like we're up to a professional standard now. We better get 11 views on the next podcast.
Anyway, yes. What are we going to talk about? Let's go with why is the world so lonely?
Okay. I think that is a great topic. And we've already been talking about this a bit today. So...
this might be why it seems sort of scripted, because we talked about it.
Because we have talked... prior. Yes. Yeah. This is our problem. We're like, oh, let's make a podcast about this. Let's talk about it for an hour and a half before we film it.
Let's come up with ideas for topics, so that we talk about the topics.
And then we just yap about it. Well, I know that you were saying that you think social media has a big thing to do with that.
Yeah. Like, at school, I especially noticed that, like, everybody's on their phones.
Yeah.
And, like... people rarely talk to people around them, and you're not forced, poor wording, but you're not forced to talk to people around you. Like, you talk with the people you know if they're in the classroom or if you're just texting with them because you can. Like, you're always in contact with everybody, and you can talk to anybody you want, but that doesn't necessarily allow you to talk to people that you would not normally talk to and make friends with people that you would not normally talk to.
Oh, 100%. Like, I think everyone's guilty of this. I think I see it in, like, university a lot. Like yesterday, for example, I started a new class, and it was literally, I think there's 50 kids in the class. No one knew each other. Like, it was just dead silent. Like, you know, when you walk into a room, there's just, like, no one knows each other.
Yeah.
And you're sitting right beside people. But instead of people being like, hey, like that, like, you know, starting a conversation, we all just sit on our phones and talk to all these people through all these social media platforms instead of, like, forming new connections.
Yeah.
So, like, I feel like that happens all the time, though.
And, like, the way social media is, it makes you comfortable and it makes you addicted to it. Like, it makes you want to stay on it.
Yes. Yeah.
And that, like, talking to people you don't know is uncomfortable. It's... I'm one for saying this because I talk to, like, nobody. I, like, super social anxiety. But nonetheless, talking to people is uncomfortable, especially if you don't know them. And I feel like social media... Like, if what would you rather do? Okay. Go to something comfortable, to people that you know, just talking, not even seeing their reaction, just, like, texting, just a couple words, getting your point across, not, like, managing, like, your facial expressions or your tone or anything, or talk to somebody completely new that you have no clue who they are, what they're like, if they're mean, if they're nice. Generally, people are nice, but whatever, and you have to manage, like, your tone and your reactions, and, like, what would you rather do?
Okay, I have 2 points on what you just said. I'm trying to remember the first one now. And, oh yeah, you were saying that, like, you have social anxiety, and I honestly think that, like, so much of the population struggles with that now, but it's just kind of... COVID was bad, but, like, I think, honestly, just with, like, the dependence on social media now, like, I wouldn't even say people are addicted. People are, like, fully dependent on social media. I think that
we'll
has...
into that in a minute.
No, I think so. It's the same with caffeine. You're not addicted. You're dependent. Apparently. That's what my neuro prof said. But no, like, with social anxiety, I think since people are so dependent on, like, social media and, like, communicating with people through, you know, messages, like, not verbally and, like, not face-to-face, I think that when people do now go into settings where it's, like, they're forced to, like, meet new people and interact with people, I think that a lot of people, like, that does stress a lot of people out. That's my opinion. And to answer your question, I honestly would now have to say both. So in my summer job, I work with, like, a lot of volunteers will come, and all of a sudden you'll just be told, Cailin, you have to go kayaking today with a participant and their whole family, and there's going to be 6 volunteers with you, and I won't know anybody. Like, it's like 12 random people. I'm like, I have no idea what to expect. And when I go out there, and you have the most wonderful conversations with these people, because it's like a clean slate. Like, you know nothing about them, so you can literally talk about anything. Where then it's like sometimes when I go to see, but then it's like a different form of connection, because it's when I go and visit my friends, it's like I can talk to them about, you know, maybe like more personal stuff, or because they just know more about me.
Yeah.
So like I think it honestly just kind of like depends on like what kind of conversation you're wanting to have.
Would you say that's easier to talk to people that you don't know in a social setting or a work setting? Like,
oh, probably a work setting.
Yeah.
Because you kind of have to, like, it's my job. But I don't, yeah, like in a social setting, like for example, yesterday in my class, I didn't speak to anyone. I just sat there. I was like, I don't know. Like, it's intimidating. Like, I don't know. So that's fair. Like, I guess the setting does change things too.
Yeah. It's interesting how people are dependent, like you said, on their phones. Like, it's... I don't know what I'm trying to say. But...
I think I might, like, it's like, for me, it's like, when I'm sitting in a class of 50 kids I don't know, I'll obviously go to my phone and I can talk to people that I do know on social media, and I can communicate with other people. But I do that instead of forming connections with new people, so it's like, I don't know.
And like you said, the conversations you have with new people are possibly better conversations than what you'd... Well, they are better conversations than what you're having through text with people you know.
100%. I think that conversations with people that you're really close to in person, like, can be really great. Like, when I hang out with my friends, like, we have great conversations, like, catching up. And, like, since they just know so much about me and I've known them for so long, it's really easy to talk to them just about, you know, a bunch of stuff. And they know everyone in my life and what I'm doing in school. But I think when you're, like, meeting new people, it's just a lot more, like, surface level kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to be, like, you know, telling them, like, my traumatic past or anything. Or, like, what's going on. Like, it's just going to, you know, be, like, super baseline stuff.
Yeah. It's... what was I gonna say? Like, I feel like talking to people in person as opposed to online, I mean, I think everybody can attest to that during COVID. Like, texting people, or even through Zoom, online, it's different. I don't know how it's different, but it just, like, knowing, like, I don't know if there's, like, some instinctive thing that, like, if there's other, because, like, humans are, like, we travel, or in the past, like, the way we survive is by forming communities and being around other people that can compensate for our weaknesses, and we can compensate with our strength for theirs. I feel like there must be some sort of instinctive thing that, like, when we're around people in person, it's different than, like, not in person through text or Zoom. And also, through text, normally, like, we're doing something else while texting, too. Yeah. Which distracted. You cannot have good conversations when you're trying to do many different things. I think, too, like, branching off that, I think that a big thing, like, for me personally, like, texting, whatever, if I have to communicate with someone, I would way rather phone them. Because I find a big problem with texting these days is, like, like, you know, like, you can't read the tone. Yeah. When you send a message, especially me, like, I'll send some pretty snippy messages, and then people will be like, whoa, like, that was really passive-aggressive or whatever, and I'm like, I didn't mean it like that, because it's like, you can't hear your tone. So I think that's a big thing, too. It's like, would you rather text or phone somebody? That's a very good question. Oh. especially with COVID,
Yeah.
I like having that guard of like text, like not needing to control. Because like if I say something and like I'm, I think I'm not good at controlling my inflection or tone. I feel like that I can accidentally say something that is not
Yeah.
meant to be passive aggressive or rude, and it
That's
turns
super
out
fair.
that's interpreted that it is.
That's
So
so
it's
fair.
nice to avoid that through
Yeah,
text.
that's so, like, I think a lot of people do like that. Like, it's like the
Yeah.
whole thing with now. I really learned with COVID. It was so hard because, like, when you had to wear a mask, I could have any expression on my face under this thing, and no one would know whether I'm smiling, whether I'm like, ugh, you know? I can make any like, what? Like, but you really can't tell. But then the second you don't have masks, I'm like, oh my god, I actually have to like think about what I look like and like
Yeah.
my reactions to things.
Yeah. I still wear a mask, which is
Fair.
it's part of that's part of a reason why. Not all of it, obviously. I don't want to get sick and whatnot, but like it's nice to have that little guard that
100%.
you have a safeguard if you like do a facial reaction that's like not related or you're zoned out. Like it's harder to notice that when I have a mask on, which is just nice to have that.
I kind of miss
like,
masks. Like, I don't know. Like, it always, like, I always thought it was fun, too, when people were wearing masks. I'd, like, envision what they looked like.
Yeah.
I was like, what do you, like, and then you'd, like, form a vision of them, and then they take their mask off, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, you look like, it's so cool. That was so fun, actually. I miss those days.
It's, like, especially, like, most of my teachers, grade 7 and most of 8, like, were mandated to wear masks, so I didn't know what their faces
It's
looked
crazy.
like,
It is crazy.
Yeah. I feel like there's, like, I feel like what you're saying, like, you'd rather call people, you'd rather talk to them in person. Me, I'm more, like, texting and, like, not talking in person as much.
Okay.
I feel like it's more comfortable to not talk in person, but, or, like, text or rather than phone, because you're safe, but being uncomfortable is how, like, is more meaningful, I guess.
Yeah, it's how you, like, you know, grow, I think, when you're put in, like, uncomfortable situations.
It's how you grow, and it's how you get to know people as well. Like, it's kind of fake when you're texting.
Yeah.
There's so much to be interpreted. But when you're, like, actually talking, you can understand each other more, and I feel like it's a little bit scary to be understood more than what you want to control, because you can't control everything when you're talking to...
Well, to be honest, half the reason I also like to call people is because I don't have patience. Texting is like, what time do you want to do this? This time. Okay, where? And then it's like, it takes so long. If I call them, I'm like, what, where, when, why, how, whatever. All the questions, done in a minute. Bada bing, bada boom, bang. I don't have to be sitting there, because especially all my friends, terrible at responding. So it's just like... apparently I have problems with patience. But I don't know. I find calling, I'm just able to like bang it out. Doesn't need to be planning where we're going to eat lunch. Doesn't need to be a 7-hour conversation on text. I'll phone you. We'll figure it out in 2. Yeah. Have a good evening. You know what I mean? like I don't know. I'm just impatient. That's also maybe why I prefer phoning. But I text people all the time. So like, I don't know.
I feel like we got a little bit off topic on I mean, that's fine. We're rambling, and
that's what this is.
What this is.
Yes.
Again, I'm talking in my like scripted voice. It's not scripted, but whatever. Why do we feel that the world is so lonely? I feel like we've kind of touched on it, but just not.
I mean, I'm just trying to, like, even then, like, when I think back to, like, my mom growing up and stuff, like, just, like, she'll tell me all the time, she's like, my life was just so different without, like, phones and, like, social media and stuff, and she's, like, she was able to form, like, meaningful relationships and create, like, memories, and, I don't know, I feel like just the phone, and everything nowadays I find, too, is just so digital.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, even it's like, oh, you have an interview? Oh, we'll do it over the phone. Oh, you want to send in a resume? Oh, just send it on email.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's just not as much, like, person-to-person interaction, so I feel like a lot more people now are just living, like, independent like, I don't know, like, I feel like people are just so much more independent now than they used to be, maybe even too. Like, I feel like people have always been independent, but I feel like now it's just different. Like, I don't know.
You're not, especially my age, like, I've never learned to, like, ask for help with something. So,
Yeah.
it, like, oh, I'll just Google it. But you can't really, like, back in the day, like, you can't Google, like, how to, I don't know what it would be, but, like, you cannot Google something search, so you'd ask your friends or your teacher.
Like, you just go to the internet for everything.
Yeah.
Like you have to actually, like, figure out things for yourself and, like, use other people.
Yeah.
To help you.
And, like, I feel like online everything is given easier solutions to things. Like being social, you can text anyone at any time.
Yeah.
You can see what someone's doing at any time, or, like, look up something up. Like, it's giving you excuses to look at your phone instead of talking to people, which is kind of back to what we were saying. Like, would you rather look at your phone or talk to people? Like, it's kind of a battle.
I find too, though, it's like a thing. It's like, oh, I'm gonna go hang out with my friends.
Yeah.
But it's like, what are we gonna do? If we're not doing anything, we're probably all just gonna sit on our phones. Like,
Yeah.
What if I'm going to hang out with one friend, but I'm just texting my other friend the whole time? So, like, I don't know.
It's good to be bored, because
Yes.
if you're not bored, which nobody is ever bored, because we have phones at our disposal always and can, like, get instant, what's the opposite of boredom?
Entertainment.
Instant entertainment, anytime, anyway. So much so that's addictive, and we're dependent on it.
Yeah.
Like, we are not bored and do not, like, what do you want to do? I don't know. Let me think. 15 seconds later, on our phones, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, it takes away, like, if you're bored and you're like, well, I want to do something with my friends here, but I can just go on my phone, and then I get a tiny bit of entertainment automatically, and it's easy.
And it's just a habit, too.
Yeah.
Like, for me, it's like, when I have this, it's like, if I don't have it on me, I'm like, where's my phone?
Yeah, same here.
Or if I don't, I'm like, what time is it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm always, it's like my watch, too. It's like just a habitual, like, I'm always.
And they're always buzzing, and they're always, like, they are built to have you looking at them.
This is built to distract me.
No, I wouldn't necessarily put it that way. It is true, but
it's also built to help me.
Yeah.
But I would say that I would honestly think that, to me, like, these days, I would say that my phone is more of a distraction to me.
Oh, yeah.
Than it is, like, of something, like, the amount of beneficial things I do on this during the day, maybe, like, 10%.
We probably, I bet you the average person with a phone spends 6 hours on it.
Oh, should we check my screen time?
No, we're not.
Why?
We're not getting distracted by our phones.
I know, but I'm kind of curious now. Luckily, it isn't loading.
I feel like this is, like, kind of what we're talking about. That we.
Yeah, this, like, see, it's a distraction. Now I'm like, what's my screen time? I think it's typically, like, I would actually love to know my sister's. I think that hers would probably be, like, 12 hours a day. 2 hours.
That's not bad.
That's not bad at all. It's because I was in school today. If I would, like, the week, average 5 hours and 36 minutes.
So,
then it tells me here, social media, over 7 hours.
Yeah, that...
And
wait,
then
what?
information and reading, 48.
Yeah.
Like,
I was going to say, like, an hour of 6 was going to be, like, actually good use of it, but it's not even. My
total screen time was 16 hours and 50 minutes. I'm, like, actually sticking by that. And it was up 10%. 5 hours on Instagram. Ugh. Guys, I can't.
That's, like, I would hate to know how much time I spent on YouTube. Like, if, like, say you spend an hour a day, it's fine. It adds up. Like, if you're on it an hour a day for 4+ years, how much is that? Like, that's almost a month.
So I'm trying to think. 16 hours, let's say 17 hours, I'm going to round it up. A week on my phone.
Yeah.
Oh, That's like, okay, I'm gonna round that up to 20. That's like 80 hours a month. Oh my god. Guys, that's so bad.
So that's 3.25 days.
Just
in a month. And there's 12 months, so how much time in a year? That's like basically 2 weeks.
Oh my god.
2 whole weeks in a year, we're on our phone, on social media, not even on our phone.
The thing is, I feel like I'm not even like that bad on my phone. Like I've seen people that like literally do not even like turn it off.
Yeah.
But this is the thing. It's 5 hours and 36 minutes on this. What is it on my computer? What is it on my iPad?
Oh, yeah.
If we start compiling all of them, it's probably like 10 hours a day. Sorry, this is so not why the world is lonely, but it kind of is.
Yeah, it is, because we spend so much time on our phones. Yes, we're seeing what other people are doing, but it's through a filter that we can moderate. And, like, it's not real. Like, we cannot have real conversations or make real friendships when we're on our phones. Like, I encourage everybody watching this to look at their screen time in the past week and then compare how much time they've spent on stuff that they don't want to be spending time on, such as social media. I think most of us...
I'm sickened.
I feel like most of us don't want to spend time on social media, but we spend like 5 hours a week on it. I challenge everybody watching this to look at their screen time on things that they don't want to be doing, whether that's a game you're addicted to or like social media, and put that into how many days in a year, and just reflect on that.
I was gonna say too, I think another reason, like, I don't know, like for me it's like social media sometimes, I don't even like why, like for me I like sit here and I'm like, why do I use it? Like I'm like honest, I'm like, what good is it like doing for me? I'm like, yes, I can connect with people through social media, but I can also do that through text and I can do that in person. I'm like, why do I need Instagram? I feel like Instagram now is like just such a way to be like, oh my god, look what I'm doing and like look who I'm with, and like I feel like that makes so many people just insecure. Yeah. Because they're like, why is my life not like that? And like they compare themselves, and it can lead to like, I don't know, like people's like self-worth that they think is just like, I don't know. I think it's like super. Like I mean, the thing is, it's like I can't say that I'm not a fan because clearly I'm a 5 hours a week fan, or 16 hours. But it's like the more you think about it, like I don't know. But then again, there are the positives to it for sure. Like a lot of people feel super comfortable in social media, and like that they're able to be themselves, and it's a way for them to comfortably connect with people, especially if they are more anxious in like in-person situations. So there are benefits to it for sure.
But I feel like we spend like, let's just say half an hour on it. That's good. And then we're like, oh, maybe I can do a little bit more. Maybe I can do a little bit more. Maybe I can do a little bit more. And then you're 2 hours in.
Yeah, exactly.
Like an hour and a half of that is just wasted time that we don't want to be on here. Just addictive. Yes. And we're dependent on it. Yeah. And being on our phones constantly limits our ability to talk to people and feel connected to other people. And like you said, like social media lowers our self-worth and self-esteem, which makes us feel that we're not worthy maybe to talk to people and make friends. And like that's why the world's so lonely. I feel like
I agree. Like because it like sets a standard almost, I feel like, and then it's like, why am I not doing that? Yeah. Like why? Like I don't know. Like I think you like start to like question yourself and.
But like really, it's the people that are doing that. They planned years for it, and they probably do it just as much as we do. But because we see like a quick photo of it, and there's how many people in this world doing stuff always. Like one person does one thing a year, let's say. When you see 1,000 people doing one thing a year, you think that there's like people always doing stuff.
Exactly. Yes, true. It's not true at all. So I don't know. Like that's I don't know. Do you have anything else to say about this topic?
No, but I think we can smoothly move into our next topic, which we've kind of planned. I had a feeling. I think we both had a feeling that this topic was going to end like this. Yeah. And the next topic is what would happen if Wi-Fi and cellular data got turned off from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. every day. How would that change our lives? How would that change our routines? We would definitely get bored, and that would be good.
100%.
Like, too much boredom, maybe not so great, especially because we're addicted and, like you said, possibly dependent on not being bored.
Dependent.
Yeah. Like, it's not really a good thing. It's...
No, and, like, I think when you don't...
And you brought the topic up, so I'll let you explain it.
I think that when you don't, like, experience some extent of boredom, it's like, I don't know, for me, it's like, when I get bored, I'll just reach for my phone.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm like, oh, I'm done my homework, I'll just pull out my phone. But I find if, like, for example, if Wi-Fi was, like, for me, this thing is useless. If I didn't have Wi-Fi, the only thing I could do is call people.
But you can't even call people.
But if I didn't have Wi-Fi or service, all I could do on this thing is take pictures.
Yeah.
And, like, whatever else, like...
And maybe play a game, and maybe do some work.
Exactly.
Like, but a non-Wi-Fi game that you cannot play.
Yes.
Like,
and you can't download Netflix either, you cheaters.
I mean, I feel like you should be able to watch stuff.
There's a TV. But if there's no Wi-Fi, you can't watch Netflix.
Yeah, I feel like that's
if there's no
exception.
service, you can't watch cable. TV is an exception. I just am thinking more like your phones. Like, if your phone was put on airplane mode, like, what would you do?
You can watch a Netflix movie, but you cannot be on your phone while watching a Netflix movie.
Yes.
The horrors.
Yeah, like, so what were we talking? What was the topic? The Wi-Fi thing.
Yes, if Wi-Fi and cellular data was turned off from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Yes. Like, I think that when you don't experience boredom, you don't, like, open your eyes to, like, trying new things or, like, doing different stuff. Like, for me, I remember at the camp we do in the summer, like, we go to this, like, summer camp, but it's out in the middle of, like, the mountains, and there's no service. Like, none. Can't have navigations. You have to go back to paper maps. And, I have some good stories about this. And, so, yeah, like, everyone was, like, paper maps, like, can't use your phone, can't call people, can't text people. So... like, every day after work, we'd go to the lake. We would bike around. Like, we would go play games. Like, do crafts. Like, so much other stuff. Like, communicate with people. And I learned so much about so many people throughout that week. Because I'm not just sitting there on my phone. Like, I'm communicating. I'm doing all these fun activities with other people. But the maps thing, this was so funny. So we had to go. We were doing hiking. And it was at this location, like, 5 minutes away from where we were staying. And I told people where to go on the first... There's 3 days of hiking. First day, I'm at this place, and everyone's like, gotcha, right. We're all good. Everyone goes to the wrong place and shows up late. Oh. So the next day...
And you can't, like, contact people.
No, you can't,
Where are you? We're here.
You just have to figure it out.
You just have to, like, follow them and try and figure out where they went.
Yeah.
And, like, that takes time. And...
I don't know if you knew, but you'll laugh at this. So the next day, people would come in, and I was like... I literally, like, when they came to the events we had in the evening, I ripped up a bunch of pieces of paper, and I wrote instructions. I was like, you're going to drive out this road, stop at the stop sign, turn right, keep driving. When you see this sign, you're going to turn left. Like, literally instructions, and I drew out a map of, like, the roads. Because people just have, like, they have no idea how to use, like, a regular map.
Dependent on their phones much?
Thank you. Thank you. And it's the same. I was in Ireland, and I didn't want to pay for a phone plan. Mm-hmm. So my grandpa stuck me in the back seat with this massive map, and it's in Ireland, different side of the road. I have no idea what's going on. I'm, like, in the back with this map, like, Grandpa, turn right on the D950. Like, nightmare. But it was so interesting for me to experience, and honestly, by the end of it, I loved using that map. Like, I kept the map. I was like, this is the best souvenir I have of the whole trip.
It's interesting how fast-paced stuff is. Like, cars, okay, I'm probably thinking that maps were used, like, 100 years ago. They weren't. They're, like...
I used one last summer.
It's kind of crazy how quickly we've advanced. Like, Wi-Fi... When was Wi-Fi invented? Like, into, like, main use. Like, not, like, invented.
I actually have no idea. Probably, like, the 1980s? 1990s? I don't know.
We'll say 80s, 40 years ago.
Because for me, it's, like, I don't know when Wi-Fi came into play, but, like, because it's, like, when Wi-Fi first came into play, it was mainly for, like, Google was, like, the big thing. But then obviously when social media was like introduced, it just changed. But
let's say 40 years ago, this could be like 20 years ago.
Yeah, who knows?
But let's just say it's 40 years ago.
I'm not going to look it up to prove a point here.
How quickly have we become fully dependent on it? Like,
you'd love to do like a study.
Yeah, like this example, like if we turned it off for 12 hours in a day, just 12 hours, doesn't affect normal work days, like normal, like 8 to 4 or whatever, like it doesn't affect that. It's in that time period, like you can work with it, you can do all that. But we've become so dependent on it that like we'd be lost without it.
Yeah.
And like we would not know what to do. We'd be bored. We would not be able to contact anybody. We would not be able to, like, do anything for 12 hours in a day.
Yes.
Because we're so dependent on it. And, like, it's not like it's a full generation later. Like, it's, like, the people who used to do it, who did it without Wi-Fi before, can still do it before. No, like, everybody cannot live without it. And if you do live without it, you're so disconnected from society.
Exactly. So I have like 2 points from that. My first thing is, I think it's a huge thing of like inclusion. You know what I mean? It's like if you don't have a phone, it's like you're completely set. It's like, how do you connect with people? You know what I mean? Like, so like I was going to say, even like my grandparents, for example, when they grew up, no Wi-Fi, no phones, no social media, nothing, right? But now it's like they're both so dependent on their iPads.
Yeah.
And like the internet and like Googling everything. And I think too, it's a big thing of like, I had a really good word. Convenience.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like,
it's convenient, it's comfortable, and it's easy.
Even growing up, like, yeah, I had Wi-Fi, but I didn't have a phone. So it's like if I want to go hang out with like the neighbor or whatever, you walk over and ask if they can hang out. But now it's like, I bet kids would just shoot each other a message. Yeah. Because it's just so much easier.
Yeah. Or you just play video games with random people online that you've never met.
Instead of arranging something.
Yeah.
Because it's easier.
Yeah. Like, everything is easier.
Because of these.
Because of phones.
Yeah.
Like, and that's, like, you'd think that's a good thing. Like, yeah, oh, great, life is easier. That's amazing. But it takes away from everything. Like,
it does,
you cannot, if you don't put work into something and struggle, the reward is very minimal. Like,
yes. So, even like another, like, I forget if my wife, okay, here's a good example. If I didn't have Wi-Fi or service, on my phone, I literally have insurance, I have my healthcare card, I have travel insurance. Say I'm flying, I have all my boarding passes on there. Like, that's how dependent. If this thing dies, if I lost it, if it was taken away, like, all my banking's on here. Like, I'm like, what would I, like, you know what I mean? Like, people are so dependent on it that it's like the second they take it away, I actually think people would be like, I don't know, like, shook up because it's like everything's on there.
Yeah, like, we would not know what to do, and some people just wouldn't do anything. Like, we don't know how to cope with not being constantly entertained.
Yes.
Which is terrible to say. Like, we need to be constantly entertained in order to survive. Like, no. That's not a necessity to survival. Another, going back to your story about, like, when we're in...
Me drawing the maps.
Yeah, or before that, like when you were at camp and there's no Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So do you have like a game on your phone that you play like when you just don't know what you want to do? Like just a game that you can like...
What did I do before I went to bed? Sometimes I did play games on my phone. Like before I went to bed.
Like, for example, I just like play Yahtzee or
Was I playing Duck Dynasty? Don't question that.
It doesn't super matter a whole
I
lot.
was playing Duck Dynasty, and that's a fun game, and it's discontinued, and I will not delete it because you cannot download it anymore.
I feel
it's
like
a very
all
fun
the good
game.
games are discontinued. Like Angry Birds.
Angry Birds is discontinued?
No, it's not, but it's like ad-filled. And,
what
like,
about Candy Crush? That was one.
No, that's still gone. Like, I feel like older games are better because there's
Flow?
less ads.
Did you ever play Flow?
No, I haven't.
When you have to, like, connect? Oh, you have to get Flow. I'm addicted to that on my iPad.
Speaking of addiction...
Dependence,
yeah. did you prefer playing... let's just use Crib as an example, because I play Crib on my phone.
Yeah.
Would you prefer playing Crib online against an artificial intelligence, or was it more fun playing Crib with real people?
In person, 100%. That's like not even a question.
Why do we play on our phones so much then? Especially when there's people around. Like, my family is a perfect example of this. We watch TV when we eat dinner. We play on our phones by ourselves quite a bit. We have a bunch of board games. Like, I like, right here, like, off camera, like, there's, like, at least 20 board games here.
That's such a good point.
That are fun, and I enjoy playing them whenever we play, but we never play them. And we just do our own thing, and we're on our own. And that's because social media is easier than saying, hey, I want to go downstairs and play a board game.
It's convenient.
So, like, walking downstairs, grabbing a board game, picking it up, taking the thing off. We're not even bothered to do that. It's even when the reward for doing that is so much greater than just playing on our phone.
So I think a big thing is like this. It's like when we have this constantly and we can use it, you're going to reach to this. But the second it's taken away from you, like it was for that week, this was useless. Like, I literally did not touch it for a week and it was still at 100%.
Yeah.
Useless. Like, right? Like, I did not touch it. I think I might have said, I don't even think I took any photos. Like, I was like, but the second it's taken away, people are like, oh my God, like, what am I gonna do now?
I can't get around. I can't talk to anybody. I can't. I cannot take pictures. Like, you need to take pictures.
So then it's like,
I can't remember stuff. I cannot do anything without my phone.
So that kind of, like, I honestly think too, it's like for me, it's like going back to like even like the lonely thing. It's like this was forced away from me. I was like around people. I was like, why don't I go talk to someone? You know what I mean? Like, I think even if it wasn't in a work environment, I would have been like, I'll go play games with people. Like,
you'd rather play games with some random person than sit in a corner and do nothing. Except when you have your phone, you'd rather sit in a corner and do nothing.
Because it's something to do that's convenient and it distracts you.
Even though it's really nothing, it just addiction.
Yes. Dependence.
Like, it's your... And even when, like, we're thinking about this, we're saying, like, phones are bad. We don't like using them 95% of the time. I bet you tomorrow both of us are going to spend 5 hours on our phone. If not more.
Well, I was going to say, immediately after this podcast, I need to use my phone to call the tow truck.
Yeah.
So...
so we're still going to use our phone, even though we're aware that we don't like using it.
Yes. It's like, I know I hate using it. And I've done some things in the past, actually, where I'll, like, literally, I'm like, I'm going to delete social media for a week.
Yeah.
And it's amazing the things I do with my time. I'm like... I'll just sit there. Like, I find I watch a bit more TV. But, like, do I watch TV anyways? Yes. But then I sit there and I have the TV show on and I have my phone. So I'm like, well, it's one device less. But there's just, I find I'm more productive. Like, I don't know. And there's all those studies, too, about, like, sleep and social media. Like, or, like, not social media, but, like, sleep and, like, being on your phone. Like, how you're not supposed to be on your phone. Like, is it 30 minutes or an hour, like, before you go to bed? Because it like stimulates something in your eyes and like makes you more awake and it makes it harder for you to fall asleep, or like it stimulates something in your brain. I don't know, and I actually do find a difference if I like put my phone away and like decide to read a book for 30 minutes. I actually find a difference like in my sleep too.
It's amazing, A, how quickly we've become dependent on our phones, and B, that we don't want to get rid of them.
Yes.
Even though we don't like being on them, and we're probably all disappointed or ashamed of how much time we spend on our phones, but we don't get rid of them. We still use them. We still use them like 6 hours average. That's, what is that? People are up 16 hours.
It was 5 hours and 36 minutes.
Yeah, I'm just saying on average, not necessarily for you, but like in general, it's half the time we're awake because you're probably 2 hours watching TV as well.
Yep.
And like it's half the time we're awake.
Yep.
And like we're just on it so much that it's we don't even like being on it. Why are we on it?
This is just so off topic, but it kind of is still on topic. I am so curious to see what these do to impact health. Like, we've already seen the impacts that social media has had on, like, kids' mental health and, like, children's development and stuff like that. But I'm curious for me, when I'm older, especially just everything being digital. Like, I'm on my computer all the time for school. Like, I feel like I'm always on electronics. I'm curious for me to see how that impacts my vision.
Yeah.
And I'm also curious just with, like, the amount of times I'm wearing, like, headphones or earbuds, like, how bad my hearing will be.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm so curious to see what percentage of the population, like, struggles with things like that in the future because of,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, phones.
It's very interesting that, like, all this, the last point that I wanted to bring up, and I already forget it, what was it? Oh my gosh. I forget. Anyway, furthermore on what you were saying, like, what health could be impacted, like, this is something very new that is very impactful on, like, our health that we cannot evolve to, like, in terms of our eyes and ears, like, it, and even brain, like, how it affects brain.
Yeah.
It's wild that,
like, it's like we already know it affects, like, a lot of people's mental health, but I'm curious to see, like, especially, like, I even know my mom, was it my dad? I forget, one of my parents was, like, their thumb was they had problems with their thumb.
I have problems with my thumb, too.
Like, from scrolling all the time. Like, it was, like, like, there's something weird, and I've heard a lot of people have that. So it's, like, if that's happening to them, and they've only been, you know, using these phones for, like, 20, 30 years, imagine, like, the generations like us that have literally grown up using stuff like this.
Like, I see kids that are, like, 2 years old on phones.
Or on iPads or whatever.
Like, I feel like my generation, like, oh, you're not allowed to have a phone or an iPad or, like, watch TV for more than half an hour until you're, like, 8 or 9 or 10.
Yeah, I agree.
But these days, it's just what you do. It's what people are... It's what adults are on, like, 8 hours, 6 hours, whatever, hours a day. And, like, if a younger kid cries, like, what do we do? I don't know. Why don't give the convenient, easy, and what was the other word that we used? Convenient, easy,
disposable. Comfortable.
Yeah, solution. Yes. Just an iPad. And instead of learning how to talk to people and how to do good stuff, we're learning how to tap a button on a screen, like, and being addicted at a super young age to constant entertainment. Anyway, I remember what I was going to say to close it off because we're already over time.
Of course.
Back to the question. What would happen if for 12 hours of the day, that not main hours of the day, like just most of it's the time we sleep, what would happen if we did not have Wi-Fi?
I think people would learn, like, I don't know. I think people would learn how to face boredom. Yeah. And I think that people would learn a lot more about themselves as well. Yeah. Just, I don't know. I feel like people would just have, like, the abilities just to, like, discover. Yeah.
After the initial shock of everybody, like, not knowing what to do. Yeah. And that is it'd probably take at least a year. Yes. Just getting used to it to get to that point. Like
some people might actually go crazy.
Yeah. I would not be surprised. Like,
some people actually might have panic attacks about it. Yeah.
Like even just like at school, I think I'm one of the only people who does not pull up their phone other than at lunch, unless I'm doing work.
You are one of the only people. I will tell you that right now, and I'm not even in your classes. Oh my god, that is impressive.
But I still have to have it on my knee just to feel the weight of it that's there.
You need to know it's there. Yeah.
Even though I don't use it, I just need it there.
I didn't go on my phone today at all during class. But after class, I went and I was on the phone for like 50 minutes. So, on the phone, talking to people. I wasn't just,
you know. Better talking to people than watching the screen.
Exactly. Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's a great place to close.
I think, yeah. my challenge to all you viewers is put your phone on airplane mode one night and just see what you do.
Yeah.
See what happens.
If you're watching this video or podcast, I don't know if we'll ever turn it into a podcast, but if you're watching this and it's like super late or you want to get something else done, just turn it off and do it. Or not even if you want to get something else done. If you just want to not be on your phone because you feel that you're wasting time, and I'm sure every person who's watched an hour-long podcast thinks that.
I would say that they're most likely bored.
Yeah.
You're never going to get this hour back, but you're informed.
Yeah. Just turn off your phone.
Yeah.
Don't watch or listen to anything more, and be bored for...
Till the next podcast comes out.
Just set a 5-minute timer even, and just be bored and do nothing to do with your phone, and I'm sure you'll find something much more rewarding than sitting and watching an hour-long podcast.
Yeah. Just set an alarm for every time the next podcast is updated. Then use social media for roughly an hour, watching our podcast. Then turn it off again.
Yeah. Like, just for 5 minutes, turn off your phone. Don't use it. Don't look at it. If it buzzes, don't look at it. And then you can go back to it after 5 minutes. You probably won't, but just do that.
Yes.
Anyway, anything closing remarks?
I have a really good one. I'm just trying to think of the word I want to use. To count, like, what's a word if it's like what we've talked about for the last hour and I'm going to go and do exactly not what we've talked about? Do you know what I mean?
Disregard, neglect.
Disregard? Yes. So I'm going to completely disregard everything we've talked about for the last hour now and go on my phone and phone somebody. That's my closing remark.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for watching. Stop watching. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Please like, share, subscribe, do whatever.
Happy 2024.
Yeah, happy 2024.
Woo!
And if the comment sections are working, let us know what you think of the new setup, if there's anything we can do to make it better.
Yeah.
And yeah, and if you have any podcast suggestions, we're open. I think we have a couple more.
We do, yes.
But yeah. Yeah. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Turn off your phone for 5 minutes. I suppose I've said that 50
Yes.
times. Okay, I've harped on it too much. Anyway, we'll end there. Yeah, we're already over time.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, wow, we're like 15 minutes over time. Goodness. Okay. End of podcast.
I gotta take this.